we start the discussion. Well, I think we could start the discussion in the same order that the presentation of the papers. So, any question for the paper presented by Dr. Holt? No questions? Yeah. All right.
My name is Greener from Copenhagen, Denmark. My question is about the first paper on the probability of powders. I would like to comment on a parallel line of research dealing with the same problem. This parallel line of research was started in 1984 by Deschamps and Chelsea in France. They look at the configuration of wedding and non-wedding phases in a particular form of square sectional geometry. They found out that there is a critical value of capillary pressure at which this configuration changes from one wedding regime to another. Well, they showed that there are two forces acting on liquids in such square sectional forms. One was capillary pressure and the other one was Van der Waals dispersion force. In the one regime, the wedding phase was present in the corners of in another one, it was covered and the form was totally. Next year, in 85, Deschamps extended this to the network level, and he studied configuration of wedding phase in a different self-similar structures, partly called spheres and so on, and found a relationship between capillary pressure and wedding saturation, which was relatively universal. So, combining these two results, it's possible to find a critical level, a critical force size, which separates two wedding regimes in such self-similar structure. In part of this self-similar structure, the wedding fields are only in the corners, in another one they cover the form totally. And depending on the position of this critical level, you can estimate what the field is. So more or less it's also an attempt to globalize the notion of contact angle, which is more or less equivalent to what was presented in the paper.
I think this was only a comment, was it? Thank you very much.
Any other question for the first? Then we pass to the second paper, which has been presented by Dr. Tenogier. Any questions? Yes, please.
Well, I think it's a very nice extension of the argument, just for not so complicated system as social solution. But I'd like more maybe than focusing just one thing that maybe didn't mention here. Always you have social solution, you have components, you have solvent, and eventually you have also another solvent. And what happens is, as I know, you have alcohol, ethanol, and water as solvent. And what I wonder is, it has to be very difficult. It's an additional problem in the application of the alcohol. You have to realize a non-porous solid when you have two different liquids, or even when you have one. and you treat it with 4 different carbons, where the surface tension has to be changed because I assume that the activation has to increase. At the end, I am very happy because the result looks very, very nice. So at the same time, I like to point out 2 things just for summary. One is that I think it's very nice to apply the method, but I wonder if you actually carry out some kind of experiment in absorption of the salt, I mean ethanol and water, on the carbon.
The absorption of water vapor on this carbon, but not of the ethanol. But I think it's really asking for some solution. There are some case comparing gas. But I think we have a general trends, and it's possible to follow activation, to see the shape of the pores. It's difficult to analyze only one result in particular, but I think the general behavior is consistent with gas absorption results.
May I say one more?
Yes,
Yes, sure.
you're short. Very short.
I just say, it was my question. It was just, I think there is not too many paper on that subject in the literature, as you know. And I think it's very important to know, like to apply some comparison method. The nature of the interaction with the solvent, and every material we use. That's additional complication to the outcome. Thank you.
Professor Singh.
Well, I think the point, can you hear me? I think the point made by Dr. Martin Martinez is a useful general one, but it seems to me that the system, which is being studied by Professor Rukram and Dr. Dan is especially favorable for this sort of approach. And I feel that it would be possible to test out other systems in this way and establish whether or not competition is a problem. So it seems to me a useful start. One point which did interest me was the question that the aspect that you mentioned about the lack of any secondary micropore filling. And this is probably, I suspect, also related to the solvation of the solute molecules, it seems to me. And the fact that the solute molecules are solvated is probably the explanation why you don't pick this up. What do you feel? Is that a reasonable, plausible explanation, perhaps?
Yeah, I think, and there is a result that I have not outlined in my talk is that, for example, if you have not a complete displacement of the solvent by the solute on the external surface on the reference sample, you have not a complete displacement into micropores. So it's something which is very different from gas.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, we pass to the third paper, presented by Professor Boros-Chuk. Any questions? Professor Singh?
Just 2 points. I was very interested to see the results of this paper. It seems to me that you confirmed, in fact, some of our ideas quite nicely. One thing that you've established is that the nitrogen multilayer isotherm is indeed a standard one, and that it seems to be, for the systems that you've studied, the systems that we've studied, it does seem to be quite independent of the nature of the surface. That's the first point. And secondly, I think that you have also established quite nicely that in the case of the filling of the supermicropores, the wider micropores, there is very little, if any, distortion of the isotherm over quite a wide range of surface coverage. And that, of course, again, as I mentioned in my introductory talk, that seems to confirm confirm the view that one can indeed use the BET equation, the BET method, in that particular case. The only problem, of course, is to make sure that there is no accompanying primary microphotograph. And so you need some test to check that. But I think that I would be inclined not to agree with you. I think you mentioned at the end of your presentation that one could apply the MP method, the old Brunner Nick method. The problem about that is taking arbitrary C values, of course. So one really needs to have some standard to make use of. Otherwise, I think it's inclined to turn into a secular sort of argument.
In the first part of our presentation, I have tried to show that it's impossible to use one standard hydrogen for any carbon solvents. We can use standard hydrogens on graphite carbon blacks to calculate, to obtain the surface area of the adsorption. And we can use the standard adsorption hydrogen on non-graphitized carbon blacks for the same purpose. But if you are going to use a standard hydrogen just to subtract the adsorption on a method for surface and calculate the parameters of micropores, it's quite impossible, for example, to use the standard adsorption hydrogen on the graphitized carbon black.
But I'm talking about the multi-layer region. I think this is the point, that you found that, as we have done, that in the multi-layer region of the isotherm, the nitrogen isotherms on graphite and non-graphites come together. That's the point I'm making. And that's what you've confirmed, I think, very well.
And the second question, when I said that the MP method is preferable for analysis, in fact, I did not mean the original MP method, but one of the modifications, because certainly you can use EAT equation, and maybe I forgot to mention, but the surface area obtained with use the EAT method with the conventional force are the same, and you can use the EAT method to obtain surface areas. But if you would like to obtain the distribution of force, you have to use other modification of the EAT method.
Thank you. Professor Chu.
A very short comment concerning data given by Professor Rodriguez Reynosa. I return to this very report. These results, in my opinion, may be interesting in connection with one very applied problem, namely the stability of surfaces during fire killing. It's interesting to think about.
Professor Lucero, yes. We pass to the fourth paper. No. Any question on the third paper? Any more questions? Then we pass to the fourth paper.
Just to Professor Rodriguez Reynosa, you have shown a very interesting, drastic change in the adsorption algorithm of water as a function of oxidation. Do you think it's possible now to establish some quantitative correlation with it, or possible in the future to establish a quantitative correlation between the oxygen content and the drift of the water adsorption algorithm?
Well, I think it is possible, and we have already made some calculation in that sense. So if you take the DR plots, the daily DR plots for the absorption of molecules of different polarity. Then systematically we find there is a very drastic change in slope at a given relative pressure which is identical for each absorption. And the larger is the degree of oxidation, the slope of the lower relative pressure, which is alleviated, go up until they fit the same straight line. So what we have done is to relate that change in slope of the lower relative pressure region with the polarity and even with the strength of hydrogen bonds in the molecule of the absorptive, and we find a very nice relationship with the strength of the oxidation systems.
Any other question for the professor? Professor.
Just comment on it. We have shown quite a lot while ago, I think about 25 years ago, that on oxidation at low temperatures, that is below 100 degrees C, as you have used with nitric acid or peroxide, that there are much more carboxyl groups formed than in air oxidation. And this comes out very nicely also in your TPD spectra. They are very nice. And however, you used only 300 degrees for air oxidation, and if you would have used, let's say, about 400 degrees C, you would have had a little bit more of carboxyl groups and probably also some more blocking of micromoles, I think.
Any more questions? I would like to ask two questions, one to Pablo, another to Dr. Belgium. There is a special reason to use salicylic acid into our Do you think that the salicylic acid will open the
by charcoals, and we use some small calculations to modelize then its interpretation of results. We use this kind of calculation, and the work, for example, that here the result of salicylic or dry spot is not as beautiful as for the uline molecule, but we have already published the uline results are represented here, the salicylic acid.
Thank you very much. Pablo, if somebody asks you, what do you prefer to use to deposit the active oxygenated groups on the surface of the anticarbonates? Nitric acid solution or hydrogen peroxide?
Well, it depends on what you are looking for. I normally, to functionalize an active carbon for applications like a catalysis form, I prefer to use hydrogen peroxide. Although nitric acid will give you a larger amount of oxygen surface group. I would say even more. Nitric acid has well-known inconvenience and the humic acid that can be produced. So it is preferable to use hydrogen peroxide or even sodium hypochlorite. Hypochlorite is also a good oxidation agent, cleaner than nitric acid.
Well, thank you very much for all the contributions in this morning and all the discussion. Now, before I close this section, Professor Bolochu would like to take a couple of minutes to speak to the audience. But before that, I would like to have a few words in honor of Professor Turini, who is not here. He is 90 years old, and he's still working and advising in his laboratory. I would like to applaud him.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would like to ask you for your attention, not more than for a couple of minutes, not as a lecturer, but as a representative of the Soviet delegation. And to our regret, the most part of our delegation will leave Alicante tomorrow, and we will not take part in the closing ceremony. But we know on this conference in Moscow, we have unusually, and typically big Soviet delegation. And 20 Soviet scientists from Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, Novosibirsk, and Tashkent are taking part in the conference. And on behalf of our Soviet delegation, I would like very much to express our gratitude to the organizing committee and to the president of the organizing committee, personally, Professor Nossa, for the possibility to participate in the conference and to present our report. Thank you very much for your kindness and your hospitality. And the next one. Problem. I don't need it. It's a problem too. Thank you very, very much. And it's a pity we have to leave Alicante too early. And you know, a lot of Soviet scientists are working in the field of porous characterizations and are interested very much in the scientific cooperation. And I would like very much to ask the organizing committee and the representative of the IUPAC Commission to consider our proposal to organize one of the COPS conference, maybe the next one, in our country. We shall do our best for the success of the conference. Thank you very much.
Just a couple of things very fast. The buses are waiting, so I will not keep you here. There will be extra list of participants. They have disappeared. There were almost 200 there, and they have disappeared many people. So tomorrow morning there will be more just in the same place, outside the morning. Have a nice